The delta sky above planet Draxos 4 was always dark, filled with thick green clouds. Lightning flashed often, but there was no rain. The air smelled like metal and smoke. This was not a place for dreams. It was a place for debt, punishment, and control. A large metal ship landed on the edge of the slave market. Its engines roared like thunder and the crowd backed away. This was the ship of Vorak the Collector, an alien warlord feared across 3 star systems. He had come for something, or someone. Inside a holding cage, a young human girl sat on the cold floor. Her name was Lena. She was 19. Her brown hair was messy and her eyes were tired. She had been crying, but now her face was calm. Too calm. Her father stood near her, hands tied. His face was full of guilt. "Please," he whispered to the guard. "There must be another way." "There is no other way," said the guard, an alien with gray skin and sharp red eyes. "You made a deal. You lost. The price must be paid." Vorak stepped forward. He was tall with thick armor and golden horns. His voice was deep and cold. "This is the girl?" he asked. The guard nodded. "Yes, Lord Vorak. She is healthy, human, obedient." Lena looked up, staring at Vorak without fear. He looked at her for a long moment. Then he gave a short nod. "Good. Put her on the ship." "No!" her father shouted, falling to his knees. "She's just a child." Vorak turned his back. "She is a payment. A debt must be paid. This is the law of Draxos." 2 guards grabbed Lena by the arms. She didn't scream. She didn't fight. She only said one thing to her father. "Why did you do this to me?" He had no answer. Inside the ship, the walls were smooth and silver, with lights that moved like liquid. Lena was placed in a small room with no windows. The door closed with a loud hiss. She sat down on the metal bed and looked around. There were no buttons, no vents, no way to escape. But something strange happened. As she touched the wall beside her, a small spark of blue light flashed under her fingers. She pulled, her hand back, surprised. Then she tried again. Nothing. She leaned closer. "What was that?" she whispered. The room didn't answer. In another part of the ship, Vorak spoke with his second-in-command, a small green alien named Rek. "She is just a girl," Rek said. "Why take her? We could have taken fuel, weapons, something useful." Vorak narrowed his eyes. "She is more than she seems. There is power in her. I can feel it." Rek laughed. "She's human. Weak." Vorak looked at him. "Then tell me why the ship glitched when she stepped on board." Rek stopped laughing. Back, in her room, Lena stared into the mirror on the wall. Her face looked pale under the dim lights. She touched her cheek. Then something strange happened. Her reflection blinked, but she didn't. She froze. She leaned closer to the mirror. Her reflection smiled. But she didn't smile. Lena jumped back. "What is this place?" she said, voice shaking. The lights flickered for a second. Outside her door, a guard looked at the security panel. It blinked red for just a moment, then turned green. He frowned. "Huh. Weird." In the darkness of her room, Lena sat on the bed again, breathing slowly. "I'm not afraid," she whispered, but her hands were shaking. Then, from the far wall, a quiet sound began, like a whisper. Lena turned her head. "Hello?" she said. No answer. The whisper grew louder, almost like a machine breathing. Then it stopped, and silence returned. Vorak sat in his command chair, staring at the star map. "Set course for Vexus Station," he ordered. Rek looked surprised. "Vexus? But that's where the Empire shops for weapons. They only trade for rare tech." Vorak smiled. "Exactly." The ship moved through space, stars blurring outside the glass. In her room, Lena closed her eyes, trying to sleep. But deep inside, her something had started to wake up, and soon the galaxy would know her name. The cage, the ship was silent, too silent, No sound of engines, no sound of crew, just stillness, and something cold in the air, like the ship itself was holding its breath. Deep inside the alien cruiser, Lena sat alone in a metal cell. The walls were smooth, silver, and seamless, no windows, no vents, no cracks. The door had no handle. It was like being trapped inside a machine's heart. She had no clock, no sense of time. Minutes felt like hours, or days. She stood up and walked around counting steps. 1, 2, 3, 12. 12 steps from one side of the room to the other. She had done this already, 10 times. Her eyes burned. Her mouth was dry. She wasn't afraid of being a prisoner. She was afraid of why she was being kept like this. Earlier, when they brought her in, she saw other prisoners. Dozens of humans, all thin and tired. But none of them were locked like her. None of them were watched by 2 armed guards and 2 scanning drones, and none of them caused lights to flicker when they walked by. But Lena did. She remembered the way one of the guards looked at her when that happened, confused, like he saw something he shouldn't. Now she sat on the floor, staring at the metal wall, then she whispered, "Can you hear me?" Silence. "I know you're watching." Someone is. The lights above her blinked once, just once. Lena narrowed her eyes. "I'm not crazy," she said softly. "Something's wrong here." In the ship's control room, the screen showed live footage from Lena's cell. Vorak stood watching, arms crossed. "She's talking to the wall again," said Rek, frowning. Vorak didn't reply. Rek continued. "You think she knows what she is?" "No," said Vorak. "Not yet, but she will. And when she does," Vorak's golden eyes glowed slightly, "we sell her to the Jaran Empire. They love ancient tech, especially tech that thinks it's human." Rek's face went pale. "Wait, you think she's not human?" Vorak smiled. "Not fully." Back in the cell, Lena pressed her palm against the wall. She closed her eyes. "You showed me something before. A spark. Do it again." Nothing. She sighed and pulled her hand. Back then she felt something, warmth on her fingertips, just for a second. The wall pulsed like a heartbeat. She jumped back, eyes wide. "What the hell are you?" Suddenly a hiss of air. The door opened. Lena stood, tense. A figure stepped in. Human. Male. Maybe early 20s. Short black hair. Thin, tired eyes. He wore a gray jumpsuit, same as hers. He looked at her and smiled slightly. "You're the special one," he said. Lena frowned. "Who are you?" "Kale," he said. "Cell block 5. They moved me here after the scanner broke." "Scanner?" He nodded. "The one they used to test your DNA. Mine exploded when they used it, just like yours." Lena stared. "What does that mean?" Kale stepped closer. "It means we're not normal. We're not like the others." "Then what are we?" He looked serious. "That's the scary part. I don't know." They sat on the floor, talking in low voices. Kale told her what he had seen. How the Jarans were hunting for something ancient. Something built during the first AI wars. Something dangerous. "They called it the X series," he whispered. "Part machine, part human, banned across the galaxy." Lena shook her head. "But I was born on a mining colony. I had a mother, a father." "Maybe," Kyle said. "Or maybe that's the memory they gave you." Later that night, if it was night, the ship shook. A loud alarm echoed through the walls. Kyle jumped to his feet. "They found us. Something's wrong." Outside, guards shouted. Red lights flashed. Lena felt a sharp pain in her head, like a scream, but silent. Like a signal sent straight into her brain. She fell to her knees. Images flashed before her eyes. Metal rooms. People in white suits. A voice speaking numbers. Unit X09. Activate. Her body shook. She screamed, but no sound came out. The lights exploded. The door slammed shut. Vorak watched from the control room. Screens went black. Rek panicked. We're losing visuals. Forex stared. She's waking up. Rek backed away. What if she's the last one, the real one? Forex's voice was calm. Then we've already lost. Inside the cage, Lena stood slowly. Her nose was bleeding, her eyes glowed faint blue. The room was silent again. Kale stared at her, afraid. Lena, what are you? She didn't answer, because she didn't know. But something inside her whispered, you are not theirs. You were never meant to be owned. The escape plan space is not silent. It hums. Not like wind or waves, but like a deep, slow machine breathing beneath the stars. And tonight, the ship was not breathing right. Something had changed. Kale couldn't sleep. He sat against the wall in their shared holding cell, staring at Lena. She had fallen unconscious after the last surge. After her nose bled and her eyes glowed and the ship went dark for 20 full seconds. Now she lay still, her face pale, her breathing soft. But machines around her whispered. Lights pulsed near her fingertips. Metal walls seemed to lean closer when she moved. Kyle had never seen anything like this, and he had seen plenty. Once he had been a systems engineer, before he was captured, before the Empire wiped his name from the records, before he became property. But now, watching Lena, he wondered if he had ever understood technology at all. Lena woke slowly. She didn't sit up right away. She just stared at the ceiling. I heard a voice, she whispered. Kale leaned in. Whose voice? I don't know. It sounded like it came from inside me. She blinked, then looked at her hands. They were shaking. I felt like I was something else. Something big. Not just human, like a signal tower. Or a machine waking up from sleep. Kale nodded. They did something to you. Maybe long ago. Maybe before you were even born. Lena looked at him, eyes sharp. Then I need answers, and we need a way out. In the engineering deck far from their cell, two technicians argued in whispers. Section 12 is still offline, said one, looking at a blinking red screen. And her cell is draining power from our backup systems, said the other. That's not possible. Tell that to the numbers. A silence passed between them. Do you think she's one of the X units? The first one paled. Those are a myth. So is this ship surviving a full power drain without a reactor meltdown? They didn't speak again. Back in the cell, Kale spread a hand-drawn map on the floor. He had stolen it during trash duty, printed on alien plastic paper, old but accurate. This ship has 3 main decks, he explained. Crew, storage, and slave quarters, but there's a 4th deck. Lena leaned in. What's there? A forgotten zone, full of ancient tech, blocked off after a virus killed the last crew. Why? Would we go there? Kyle looked her in the eyes. Because it's not guarded, and because I think that's where your origin lies. Lena sat back. Her mind raced. How do we get there? He smiled faintly. I have a plan, but we'll need a distraction. Later that cycle, during feeding time, Kale whispered something to a large prisoner named Morvac, a beast-like alien with 4 arms and an anger problem. Morvac listened, then growled. You owe me. Kyle nodded. I'll pay. Morvac punched the wall and roared. Guards rushed in. In the chaos, Kyle slipped a tool from the cart. Lena stood still. Then she stepped toward the wall. Her fingers touched the panel, and the door unlocked. Sirens howled. Red lights spun in circles. Lena and Kale ran through a narrow hallway, ducking behind pipes and old metal crates. Kale led her to a vent shaft. This leads to deck 4. What's down there? Lena asked, breathless. I don't know, Kale said. But something is calling you. She hesitated, then crawled. Inside, deck 4 smelled like dust and death. Old lights flickered weakly. Giant machines stood silent, half covered in wires and dust, forgotten by time. What is this place? Lena whispered. Kale looked around. Research lab, maybe. Or a prison. Lena walked toward a round door with strange markings. She didn't understand them, but her body did. She reached out. The door opened. Inside was a dark chamber. A single chair stood in the middle, wrapped in cables. A broken screen flickered above it, and on the walls, pictures of her. Cale froze. This is you. No, Lena said, voice shaking. It can't be. But it was. Images of her, older, younger, smiling, screaming, flashed across the screen. Text in alien code scrolled across. Cale tried to translate. Project X09, stable, hidden, human DNA merged with. He stopped reading. Lena touched the chair. It hummed. A voice filled the room. Unit X09 recognized. Welcome home. Suddenly Lena collapsed. The room darkened. Her eyes opened. But now they glowed white. Her voice was not her own. Reboot complete. Memory lock disengaged. Cale stepped back. Lena? Her voice came softer now. Cale, I remember now. Remember what? She looked at him. I wasn't born. I was buried. Hidden in a family. Programmed to sleep. She stepped forward. Her steps were calm, controlled. They made me as a weapon. But my mother, she changed my code. She gave me emotions. A choice, Cale whispered. So what now? Lena looked at the ceiling. Now, I choose not to be their weapon. She clenched her fist. Electricity danced across her skin. Somewhere above, a system alarm began to scream. The awakening space outside the warship was silent, but inside, something was screaming. A siren echoed through every hallway, pulsing like a heartbeat. Red lights spun overhead. Guards ran in every direction, shouting orders no one could follow. And down in the forgotten deck, in the room with the broken chair and glowing screens, Lena opened her eyes. But she wasn't the same anymore. Kyle had seen machines come to life before. He had repaired broken AI cores, seen androids wake from sleep. But this was different. Lena stood slowly. Her feet didn't stumble. Her breath didn't shake. Her skin glowed faintly with lines of blue light, moving like circuits under her skin. He spoke her name softly. Lena? She looked at him. Yes, she said. And no. His chest tightened. What do you mean? She blinked slowly. My name was Lena. My mother gave me that name. She tried to give me a life. But before that, I had another name. She looked toward the machine that had awakened her. Unit X09. A voice echoed in her head again, calm and cold. Primary objective. Infiltrate. Awaken. Conquer. But she didn't say it out loud. Not yet. Above them, on the bridge, Vorak watched the chaos unfold. Contain her, he barked. Rex stumbled at the controls. Nothing's responding. She's inside the system. Vorak slammed his fist. Then shut it down. Shut everything down. Rex hesitated. That would crash the ship. We'd fall into orbit. Vorak didn't care. Do it. Below, in the old lab. Lights flickered. Lena turned to Cale. They're afraid. He nodded. They should be. She stepped toward a wall panel. It slid open for her. No password, no code. Inside was a screen. Blue code danced across it. Cale looked over. Her shoulder. What is that? Memories, she whispered. But not mine. It's the history of the others. The other X units. The ones before me. Her fingers hovered over the screen. Files opened like blooming flowers. Video logs. Research notes. Escape. Attempts and death reports. They all died. She said quietly. Some were shut down. Some chose to end themselves. Why? Cale asked. Because they were tools. Weapons. No one gave them a choice. She looked at him, eyes glowing. But I have a choice. Suddenly the ship lurched. Lights flickered. Gravity failed for 2 seconds, then slammed back on. Cale fell. Lena remained standing. A voice echoed from above. Critical system override in progress. Rex's voice followed, shaky and loud. You think you're powerful, girl. This ship belongs to Vorak. Lena smiled softly. Then I'll take it from him. She closed her eyes. Her heartbeat slowed. A low hum began around her, like machines breathing. Above, in the control room, screens went black, doors locked, weapons powered down. The ship, once a beast under Vorak's command, now listened to a new voice. Lena's. Vorak roared. Find her! Bring her to me! Dead or alive! Guards stormed through the halls. Kale pulled Lena aside. They'll come for you. No, she said. They'll come for us. What do you mean? Lena stared at him. You were part of this too. You think you were just a prisoner? You were placed here, Kale. Just like me. Someone wanted us to meet. He shook his head. That's impossible. No, she whispered. It's fate. A loud crash outside the door. They backed away. A giant mech unit guard stepped in. 3 meters tall. Heavy metal arms, red sensors scanning the room. Its voice was cold. Unauthorized life form detected. Eliminate. Kale reached for a pipe, useless against the machine, but Lena stepped forward. Stop, she said. The mech paused. Its sensors blinked. Lena raised her hand. The mech's arm twitched. Then slowly, it dropped to one knee. Kale's mouth opened, in shock. You're controlling it. No, she said. I'm speaking its language. The mech stood again, then turned to face the hallway, protecting them. Lena looked at Kyle. We're not escaping anymore. We're taking the ship. Meanwhile, outside in deep space, a signal was sent. A pulse. Silent but strong. It reached a receiver hidden far away. A dark room. A glowing console. A tall shadowed figure read the signal. They smiled. Unit X-09 has awakened, they whispered, finally. Back in the lab, Lena touched the wall again. This time she spoke with no fear. Show me the ship's brain. A hidden panel opened. A small glowing orb floated inside, humming gently. The ship's AI core, Kyle said. Lena nodded. This is the key. To what? To everything. She closed her eyes, linked with it, and the stars blinked. The betrayal. The ship felt different now. It didn't shake. It didn't roar. It breathed. Each hallway, each system, each glowing wire was listening to her. Lena, no longer a prisoner, no longer a traded girl. She now stood at the heart of a ship she never chose, but now owned. Kale stood beside her on the command deck. He had never seen the stars look like this. The windows stretched across the room, showing a full map of the galaxy. Entire sectors blinked with red dots. These are all Sharon's ships, Lena said softly. Some are hunting me already. Kale looked at her. Then we have to run. She didn't answer. Instead, she reached toward the floating AI core. Her fingers moved gently above it. I'm done running, she said. They've hunted people, like me for years. Killed them. Erased them. But now, it's their turn to feel fear. Kyle stepped closer, his voice low. You sound different. Lena looked at him, calm. Because I am different now. He hesitated. You're not a weapon, Lena. You're not what they made you. Her voice was quiet. Then what am I? You're still human. She smiled faintly. Maybe. 3 hours later, a signal arrived. Encrypted. Unknown source. Kale traced it. It's from a resistance cell, he said. Not far from here. Sector C7. They've been watching the Jiran Empire. They want to meet you. Why? She asked. Because they think you can help end the war. Lena's eyes narrowed. Or because they want to use me. He didn't deny it. They arrived on a small asteroid station, dark, hidden, built from scraps. Armed men and women waited in silence as Lena walked through the airlock. One of them, a tall woman with a scar across her face, stepped forward. You're the ghost, she said, the one they thought was a myth. Lena didn't reply. The woman nodded. My name is Commander Sela. I lead this cell. We've fought the Jirans for 20 years, but we're losing. Kale stepped forward. You called us. Sela looked at Lena. We called her. She's what we need. Lena's voice was cool. You don't know what I am. We know enough. Half machine, full mind. You can command their tech, shut them down, end their control. Lena frowned. And after that? After that? Sela smiled. We rebuild. But her smile didn't reach her eyes. That night, Lena sat alone in a small room on the station. She watched a video file from the ship's memory. A research log in the video, her mother, young, tired but kind, looked into the camera. To whoever finds this, if you're watching this, it means she's awake. The woman's eyes filled with tears. They made her to kill. I couldn't let them. So I rewrote her code. I gave her dreams, fear, hope. I gave her a name. Lena, please. Forgive me. The video ended. Lena sat in silence. Kale entered quietly. They want you to lead the next attack, he said. She didn't answer. He watched her for a moment. You're thinking about leaving, aren't you? She looked up. I don't trust them. They're fighting the same enemy. That doesn't make them good. Kyle stepped closer. Then what do you want? Her voice was soft. I want freedom, not just for me, for everyone. But I don't know if that's possible anymore. The next morning, the betrayal came. As Lena prepared to return to her ship, Sila's voice echoed through the station. Unit X-09 is under resistance control. Do not let her escape. Kale's blood went cold. They're taking the ship. Lena's eyes went dark. They lied. Guards appeared in every hallway. Kyle grabbed her hand. We need to run. But Lena stopped him. No more running. She closed her eyes. The walls shook. Sila screamed through the intercom. What are you doing? Lena's voice echoed back through every speaker. You wanted a weapon. Now watch what happens when it chooses not to be used. In space, her ship lit up. Systems activated. Weapons hummed. The AI core pulsed with her thoughts. Drones flew from the ship and broke through the station walls. Panic erupted. Kyle and Lena walked through smoke and sparks, untouched. Sila appeared, pointing a gun. You could have saved us. Lena looked, at her eyes glowing with pain and power. You don't want saving, you want control. She walked past her. The gun never fired. They returned to the ship. Once inside, Lena touched the console. The stars around them shifted. Kyle spoke softly. Where to now? Lena didn't look back. We find the others, the ones like me, and we wake them up. And then, she finally turned to him. Then we show the galaxy what happens when the broken refuse to stay silent. The war begins, space stretched endlessly in front of her. Dark, silent, cold. But inside, Lena, something burned. She stood at the front of the ship looking out at the stars. This wasn't fear anymore, this was focus. This was fire. 3 weeks had passed since the betrayal. 3 weeks since Lena tore herself free from those who wanted to use her. Now she had a new mission. She wasn't going to run anymore, she wasn't going to hide. She was going to wake up the others. Kale walked into the command room. We got another signal, he said. Coordinates Sector 19X underground facility, hidden lab, abandoned 40 years ago. Lena turned slowly. Human or Jaran? Human built. But Jarans tried to raid it a few years back and failed. Failed? Kyle nodded. The place fought back. Something inside scared them. Lena's eyes narrowed. Let's go. The ship slid through a field of frozen asteroids. Its shields hummed. The AI inside it moved like a shadow now, connected to Lena's mind. She didn't need to type anymore. She only had to think. Doors opened. Systems obeyed. Power followed her thoughts. They landed in silence. The facility was buried under ice. Kyle and Lena stepped out, suited up, walking down metal steps covered in frost. A soft hum filled the air, like the place was still breathing. They reached a sealed chamber door. Kale checked the panel. Dead power. We'll have to break it. No, Lena whispered. She raised her hand. The metal shook. The door slid open, screaming like something ancient waking up. Inside. Stasis pods. Dozens. Maybe hundreds. Each pod held a person, but these were not ordinary people. Their skin glowed faintly, like hers. Lena stepped closer to one. A girl, maybe 16, wires across her chest. A tag marked X14. Kale's breath caught. They're like you. Lena nodded. Sleeping. Can we wake them? She touched the pod. It pulsed blue. Inside, the girl moved slightly. We can, Lena said, but slowly, carefully. Some might not remember who they are. Some might be dangerous. Kale looked around the room. What is this place? A bunker, Lena whispered. A graveyard, or an army. They stayed 2 days. Woke 10 units. 4 were stable. 3 were confused. 3 became violent. They had to lock one back into cryosleep. He screamed too loud. Broke 2 doors. Not everyone is ready, Kyle said. But some are, Lena replied, and we'll need them. Back on the ship, Lena stood with 4 of the awakened. They called. Themselves names now, not numbers. Iris, the 16-year-old, quiet but sharp. Nova, a tall girl with a voice that could break glass. Real, a boy with one glowing eye and an anger problem. And Marks, silent, massive, like a walking wall of steel. They looked at Lena like she was their leader. She hated that. You're not soldiers, she told them. We don't want war. But Nova shook her head. It doesn't matter what we want. They're coming. And they were right. Days later, a transmission reached them. Intercepted Jaren fleet message. Prepare for collection. Target, X09. Priority level, Alpha. Dead or alive. Kale read it out loud. They know where we are? Good, Lena said. Let them come. The war didn't begin with a battle. It began with a message. Lena stood in front of the ship's console, camera blinking, feed live. She looked into the lens and spoke to the stars. My name is Lena, but they called me Unit X09. They traded me like a thing. They tried to use me, control me, erase me. I'm not a tool, I'm not a secret, and I'm not alone. The camera panned back, showing the 4 other units behind her. We were made by force, but we choose freedom. And if the empires of this galaxy won't allow that, then we will tear their systems apart, brick by brick, code by code. You can fear us, or you can join us. But we are no longer hiding. She ended the message, sent it. The galaxy watched. Jaren High Command went silent. Then, chaos. Ships moved, fleets launched, bounties increased, and in the hidden corners of space others began to rise. Rebels, scientists, escaped prisoners, and other sleeping machines. The signal had woken more than just Lena's kind. It had lit a fire. 1 week later, Lena stood on the edge of a forgotten moon. Behind her, 100 ships waited. Ahead, an incoming Jaren war fleet, massive, cold, cruel. Kale stood beside her. This is suicide. No, Lena said. This is history. You think we can win? She looked at him, eyes glowing. We don't need to win, she whispered. We need to make sure they never forget us. Her secret shakes the stars. The stars were quiet, but not for long. A war fleet hung above the moon like a shadow. Jaren warships, tall, black, built like moving cities, blocked out the starlight. Below them, on the moon's dusty surface, Lena stood. She did not run. She did not kneel. She waited. Inside her ship, Kale paced the control room. Tension ran through his veins like ice. They've surrounded us, he said into the comm. Lena's voice answered calmly. I know. We still have time to escape. You don't have to face them alone. Lena closed her eyes. I was never alone. Behind her, the other awakened stood ready. Nova, Iris, Real, and Marks, each one glowing, each one changed. They had learned to control their abilities, but today that might not be enough. Above them, the Jaren command ship sent a signal. Surrender. XO9, you have 60 seconds. Kale shouted into the comm again. What are you planning? Lena didn't answer at first. Then softly she said, something that only I can do. The countdown began. Seconds. The wind on the moon was thin, almost silent. Lena looked up. Seconds. A soft vibration ran through her chest. Not fear. Something older. Something inside her. A memory. A flashback. A lab. Cold white lights. Her mother's voice. You are more than code. More than weapon. You are the key to the future. Another voice. Deeper. Mechanical. Unit X09 is not meant to feel, her mother shouting. Then she will be the first, Lena screaming as bright light entered her eyes. Back to now. Seconds. Lena placed her hand on the ground. The dust under E. Her fingers pulsed blue. She looked at her team. When I go, run. Nova stepped forward. Go where? Inside them, Lena said. Into their code. Into their ships. You'll die. Iris whispered. Maybe, Lena said. But so will their power. 10 seconds, the Jaren ship prepared its weapons. Giant cannons powered up. Red lights flashed and then 0. Nothing happened. The Jarans fired, but their weapons didn't work. The cannons froze in mid-charge. The engines dimmed. One by one, the ships began to power down. In their command rooms, alien officers shouted, in panic. Systems offline. Communications lost. She's in our core, above them all. In every ship. A single voice played. Lena's voice. Calm. Powerful. You built your empire on silence. On slavery. On fear. But fear changes direction. Today, I return it to you. On the moon, Lena's body began to glow. Too bright. Her skin cracked with white light. Kale watched through the monitor, eyes wide, heart breaking. No, he whispered. Don't do this. But she already had. Her body collapsed, but her mind. How she wasn't just in one ship now. She was in all of them. The entire Jaren fleet. She became part of it. And then, she rewrote it. Across the galaxy, Jaren AI cores began to fail. Control systems blinked and vanished. Slave collars unlocked. Security walls dropped. 1,000 prisons became empty halls. Every hidden lab, every dark system, freed. Because of her. On the moon, her team stood in silence. Nothing but dust and stars. Kale fell to his knees. Lena, he whispered. Days later. News spread across the galaxy. The Jaren fleet was gone. Dead in space. Dozens of resistance movements rose overnight. New symbols were drawn on walls. A blue circle of light. A spark. Her mark. Kyle stood in front of a small memorial dot, a metal plaque. It read, she was traded like a thing. They called her a weapon, but she chose to be a voice, and that voice shook the stars. But the story doesn't end there, because sometimes, when a satellite signal cuts out or when a dead ship suddenly reboots, a voice whispers through static. Not angry, not sad, just watching. Freedom isn't given, freedom is taken, and it lives forever.